I was studying at St. Patrick's College in Jaffna. I was doing my second year of advanced level. They call it the GCEAL. And I was also a seminarian. I was at St. Martin's Seminary, minor seminary, studying for priesthood at that time in Jaffna. The seminary was on the main street, right across St. Patrick's College. And actually, our boarding was just a few kilometers away from the public library. And in May 1981, that's when, again, some kind of violence started in the northern province, particularly in the Jaffna area. The politicians launched a major destructive campaign for 3 to 4 days, actually, in Jaffna. There were heavy military presence in the city, and at night, we heard of brutal attacks on Tamil youth, actually, since we were in that age range as youths, advanced level youths. We were hearing a lot of stories about attacks on targeting Tamil youths, actually. Nighttime curfew was quickly introduced, and this was quickly changed into a day and night curfew. We heard of ministers and MPs from Colombo that traveled to Jaffna for the final political campaign. That was what we heard. But then, as young students, we were warned not to go out or make any group presence close to the gate entrance from the boarding side. Don't go to the road or to the gate. That's what we were told. On June the 1st, actually it could be May the 31st, but that evening we were right in front of the seminary, and we were asked to get inside because there were a lot of violence going on in Jaffna. May 31st to June 1st, actually heavy violence happening. Shops were burnt, heavy military presence, bulldozers and heavy military vehicles and armored cars were going towards Jaffna through the main road. So we were all able to see the vehicles traveling to Jaffna. So we know there is some cunning moves are happening. So we know about it. It is the road in front of St. Patrick's College, in front of St. Martin's Seminary, and of course the Catholic press. All of them are there, and the military vehicles were traveling. And we heard of further violence and burning of shops in and around Jaffna town. About 10 or 12 boys, actually. We, from our batch, advanced level batch, we climbed the water tank inside our compound to see what's happening in the town. Many others climbed other buildings to see what was going on because there was smoke and other things. So, and as I climbed the water tank, all what I could see was a few shops burning in the town and heavy military movements in and around town. We can clearly see, even though it's a late evening, we were able to clearly see that the military presence was there, houses burning, particularly some shops in town were burning at the time. I also was able to clearly see the compound of the Jaffna Library where tons on tons of military vehicles surrounded the library. With my own eyes, I was able to see, and an unusual number of military personnel going around the library and outside the compound as well. So we know something is happening there around the library area. And late night, as we were watching with unimaginable pain the burning of shops and houses, we started to realize that the library was fully surrounded with military men in uniform who were going around and heavily armored, and the area was tensed. They were running around, and there was unusual military presence there. What I witnessed next was indeed a brutal scar in my mind that I could never, ever forget, and it cannot be erased from my memory until I die. As I witnessed with my own eyes, the military started to light the fireballs on long sticks. There was long stick and then the fireballs, and they started firing them, lighting them up, and they were passing around, and around the library there were military personnel holding those sticks with fireballs, and they were started burning. And I also noticed some stuff being removed from the library. I don't know whether they were There were some documents, books, or some properties. I don't know, but they were also unloading, or loads of stuff were hastily removed from the building, from the library, and loaded into some vehicles. So that was happening as they passed the fire torches, and then they started. Hundreds of fireballs were passing around, and then we were shouting like, "Oh my God, what's happening there?" So now we realized that something is going to happen. They were going to burn the library or something. And as we shout and cry, men in military uniforms walked close to the library, and some of them into the library. And the next thing we saw was huge flames erupting from the building. And because it was all filled with paper and products and books, of course, within minutes, massive fire broke out. Unbelievably terrible pain for us. I have been personally using the library. I have visited the library many times and borrowed books. So for me, it was so painful. Not just for me, for the entire unit. Many students were crying. We heard our rector yelling in loud voices to get all the boys to gather in the study hall right away. And we were warned of possible further escalation of violence and attacks. So our rector warned us not to talk about it, not to get out, or not to even go to the entrance, because he feared that youth would be targeted even inside the seminary. The next day, we did hear that Father David, a scholar and a linguistic specialist, I think, who spent most of his days in the Jaffna Library, and his handwritten, a lot of handwritten books were there in that library, and they were never printed, unfortunately. They were handwritten by him. And he heard of this, and he got a massive heart attack, and he died. That's what we heard. Following day, following day, or in the next couple of days, a few Catholic priests gathered in front of the seminary where we were staying, inside the seminary, and started a silent protest to show their disappointment with what's happening in the northern province, particularly in the Jaffna area. As we were watching, the priests were sitting silently and holding some placards to protest the military onslaught on Tamils. They were sitting inside the seminary compound, so not outside the gate, inside the gate, but close to the road. So the road gate is facing the road, and just inside the road, maybe 10 feet inside the road, they were sitting and protesting with placards very close to the main gate. In about an hour, 2 or 3 truckloads of military men came and got into the compound, the seminary compound. They were trying to remove the protesters. The priest refused to give up. As I witnessed, I was right there watching all these things with my own eyes. So I am a personal witness to this. As I witnessed, the priests were brutally attacked and mercilessly punished with kicking and hitting with arms and legs. I could easily see that priests with cassocks, white cassocks and black belt, they were attacked. Catholic priests were attacked at the time by military men. The priests were loaded into the military truck and taken away. All these incidents made massive scars in my mind. I could never ever forget what has happened to the Tamils at that time, and year after year after year after, with the pre-planned brutal violence unleashed on Tamils in 1983, for example. In the name of riots, many seminarians, including myself, decided to flee the island. And we had no choice but to quit our studies, quit our priestly studies as well, and not only quitting this seminary, but we had to flee the country as well. And we are very thankful that Canada gave us asylum, and our life was saved. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to share what I experienced as a bad scar in my mind. Thank you.